on that note of a Bumiputra, something that I've been struggling with. Um, I hate the word orang asal. I hate the word indigenous. And I know in this context, that seems like such a strange thing to say. And I know that. I can't help, and you know that my heart is absolutely what we will call indigenous rights, orang asal. You know that about me, right? But the way that these words are used, how they've become used, to me, is another form of colonialization. And Neville said something just now. He said, divide and rule. Are we doing that again? Like in my mind, who in this storyline is not orang asal? In a way, even when, with people who came from outside, we are all orang asal dari Sabah. We come from Sabah, as opposed to these gang subset grouping of you masuk club kerana this ideas now that are promoted about who is orang asal, who boleh dapat bantuan kerana dia bumi putra, siapa tak boleh. I look like this, right? So sometimes I also feel, well, you know, who am I to say? Because I'm so mixed. But in all of this, what colonizes us to this day? What is it? Can we give it a name? Can we describe this monster? Including things that we think are on our side, like Bumi Putra rights. What does NEP and all that, what is that really about? That's about a very small political class of keeping power, economic and political power, linked with Ketuanan Melayu specifically. But is it really about land rights for people who live off the land? Things like that. So I'm very confused by how the words, and I haven't even sorted it out in my mind. And I know I sound like I'm contradicting myself. And it's a problem that I'm facing that I don't know what the solution is. But I really hate the words orang asal, indigenous, and I hate the word First Nation, because naturally you will have, well, who's second nation or third nation? Or am I more First Nation than you? So already this divide and rule, this comparison, this value systems are coming from somebody who's telling you who you are. You are orang asal, therefore your values are this, therefore you have to live like this. And I just feel that it's an imposition. So I'm not comfortable with it. But I know it's a foundation of the language of a lot of the work that happens amongst all our groups. And I'm not saying it's bad. There's something in there that doesn't sit comfortably with me. And this thing, are we avoiding our problems that Cynthia said earlier, really strikes a note with me when we hide under things like orang asal rights. Is that what we're talking about? Or is there something else? And it's disguised under this kind of language, and how, I don't know if I'm making sense, but these are the kinds of problems that I'm facing in my mind on trying to decolonize or to remove myself from colonialistic language of divide and rule, of telling people who they are, of defining people. I want to be the land below the wind. I've decided I really like the definition of done line. Because I used to take offense at that because I was always done line. Now I love it because I can be whatever I want, and I live in the land below the wind. I can go with the wind. I define for me who I am, not legislation. So I don't know. This is just that's why I wasn't going to bring it up just now, because it's a big one and it's not really a reflection, but it is, but it's not. And I'm confused by it. I can hear myself also using kind of prejudiced language as well. But that's where my confusion lies, in how to move forward and how to decolonize my language and how to decolonize the way I think of people. Yeah. I think that to recognize that everything about our lives and our families' lives in the past and also in the future are always multi-layered and always present. And whether it is big power, like state power, whether it is economic power, you know, what income you have, what economic power you as an individual or a family or community may have, they're all these components in this massive web are interlinked. But we've only been here talking for a few hours. And even in that few hours, just talking it through, you kind of, it's so kind of obvious on one level. And on another level, it's so complex, but on another level, it seems so clear. All we have to do is, what do we have to do? We have to recognize the web. We have to recognize the intertwined nature of our societies. We need to recognize individual power and community power, the wider family. Orang asal dari Sabah, I think, is really important, as opposed to orang asal. Orang asal dari Sabah, that have a connection to stories of the place and also to have an understanding of political forces, economic forces. And I think once you see the matrix, it becomes easier to address the matrix and to step away from it and to make better choices for the future. And to not let other people bring in the prejudices that divide, especially in Sabah, based on the 2020 election of this tanah dan air. That to me is really important, economically, politically, socially, all of it. And it keeps coming up. It's this, something comes between, whether it's the fat stick figures that are fat, or what is it that you know, potong jalan from something else. But yeah, seeing the matrix, making choices, stepping away from it, and then being able to make choices. Can you sum up? Because I'm also dwelling, I don't really know how to sum it up. But on one level, it seems so simple. And on another level, it seems so, so complicated. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Yee-I-lann. Those of you online, you have anything before we close? I mean, in a way.
Just a little bit.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So just going back to all the previous commodity and crops and the reason the British came and all that. So it looks to me that Sabah, like 100 or 200 years ago, is highly dependent on crop. Everybody living in little pockets. Some are doing tobacco, some are doing getah and all over. And come another person outside with a system. So I think maybe people working in pocket in Sabah, suddenly they see that, wow, this British came with a system. And with that, they have very high regards of the British. They found that, with a system, maybe we are better, we will have this better governance, we can come together and all that. So there's a hope. But quite unfortunately, the people who control the system realize that, this is how the local people will be impressed with us. It's our system. It's our system that, gives them like hope and all that. And until today, it's the same thing. Everywhere we go, we hear about the tanah issue. And the tanah issue is governed by the system, the JTU, the Jabatan Tanah Ukur system. That is one system. Another system would be how tenders are given away. Every kampong, whenever we have a workshop, the first workshop I noticed, all these class A, class B, class C contractor, they'll be very interested to attend to see whether there's whether the peruntukan or the tender or this Forever Sabah project got any, any tender, got any contract. So that's the system, and we don't have any response to that system yet. the system has become so powerful, we don't have to respond to that system. So that's my thought lah. Thank you.
Continue talking, continue processing, or take a break, take a walk. When we come back after dinner, we have the linear economy and the culture of patronage. So it's really kind of a continuation. So we'll have a fresh voice, although he's been also studying our history and language and all that. So it'll be interesting to see what he comes with lah.